Welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 58. I'm your host, Sigma. We're back again. Before I let you know who's joining me this week, real quick, let's go over what our topics will be for the show. First up, Kotaku and Go Media in general, Go Media, as they're known, are apparently all on strike. Their parent company, they bought them out some time ago, and there have been a lot of tensions since then, and things have finally boiled over. We'll talk about kind of how that's going and what the latest updates are, because I've been following their Twitter recently. After that, everyone is aware of the Russia-Ukraine situation that's ongoing right now, and it has not left video games untouched. A lot of companies have kind of weighed in and done something in response to what's happening over there. We'll talk about kind of what that response is. And finally, we're getting reports that players are selling runes, millions of runes, on eBay for the game Elden Ring. You know, the hottest game on the planet. We really just want to touch on that and basically start a conversation on whether or not this is actually a viable alternative to the fact that From Software does not include any sort of difficulty option. And here today to talk with me about these topics, J-Mate.
Hey, yo, it's me. You've met me before. What up?
Superman Jeff.
Yep.
And Will C. Blogs. I'm sorry, the Will C. Blogs is here again.
I just had to be obnoxious with it. What's up, everybody? It's been a while. Hopefully, I don't get canceled. I don't know. Let's figure this one out.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear and whether or not we'll cancel Will over the course of this show. But welcome, everybody. Glad to have you all here. Wait, what?
I was like, is it your decision to cancel Will?
I feel like it's like a light switch. It really depends on if you want to flick it on or off. Anybody could do it. It's like terrible.
But we'll soften the blow of all this heavy news by jumping into what we've been playing this week. So, does anyone want to go first? I know probably what the answer from most of us here will be.
Shit. Yeah. All right. I'll be the first to say.
Yeah, jump right in.
I've been playing lots of Elden Ring. What a surprise. For work mainly, but also for pleasure. It's fucking great game. I haven't been able to play it for the last like 4 or 5 days because I've been moving and I've been itching. It's been painful. Even though I had it like a week and a half early, it's still, I'm obsessed with it. It's incredible. Don't want to say too much about it because we probably will just be talking about it for ages. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
More Elden Ring love.
Yeah,
but that's pretty much it then. Like, haven't been watching anything or.
I recently started watching Attack on Titan.
Oh right, yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I've been really enjoying it. I haven't been able to watch as much as I would like. But it's at the moment about not far in, like a cut away through season 1, and it's living up to the hype of what people have been saying. I'm not sure if they can keep that going, but it's been really good. What else have I been playing? Oh, and I've been playing the new Risk of Rain 2 DLC, which is really substantial.
Wait, what did they add in that?
They've added
just like more like maps and weapons and
there's 2 new survivors, a load of maps. They've added corrupted versions of nearly all of the items that completely change them. And when you corrupt an item, it will corrupt every single future item of that you get again. So say Bungus, the bustling fungus that heals you when you stand still, is terrible. But the corrupted version heals you when you run. And now every time you pick up a bustling fungus, it will corrupt. And it has to go to one of these modes. There's a new end boss, new modes.
So that's great. That's going forward in that run, or like just in the game.
Just
like
that run.
Pick up this thing. Run. Okay, just all right. I was about to say,
that's
kind of wild.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Really difficult though. They've made it a lot harder, which is great. But yeah, really good. Yeah, really, really good.
I just want to say bustling fungus sounds like a terrible OnlyFans account for people who just obsessed with mushrooms. But I also realize I'm an idiot. So to Jeff, what have you been doing?
Okay. Stuff, things.
With the bustling fungus?
With the bustling fungus,
dude.
You know. Like JM8, I've been playing Elden Ring. Lots of that. Good times. I will say that there's a lot of bosses, and I love that. you know, as opposed to fighting 6 or 7 bosses, and that's kind of the game. No, this is, and then there's secret boss at the end of the game. No, this is really good. Like you go places, you'll be in a hole in the wall, and it's like, oh, there's a boss here. Awesome,
Everywhere.
Yeah, like just I love it, and I love the amount of weapons that are in the game. There's so many of them. The amount of armor that's in the game. There's so much of it. Magic, incantations. There's a lot of it. Like when I'm not playing Elden Ring, I'm thinking about playing Elden Ring. Like it takes me back to when I used to be in church. I went with my aunt as a little boy on Sunday, and I'd be thinking, like the way I would get through the service was thinking about playing GoldenEye. And I'd get through there like, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna play with my buddies. We're gonna play GoldenEye or No Mercy. We used to play. I was just thinking to myself like, these are the things I'm gonna do when I play, and that would get me through the service because otherwise I'd be falling asleep. So.
Wait, are you saying instead while they're praying to God, you're thinking about John?
Yes, exactly.
Oh my god.
So it was a good week because if you fell asleep, you couldn't go outside after church because that means you were too tired to praise the Lord. So you were too tired to go outside. So
that was a rule in your house. If you fall asleep in church,
you could never go outside.
That is cruel. That's cruel because I would always fall asleep in church.
I see the logic, but
yeah.
brutal.
So I used to have to go in the bathroom, throw water on my face. But another way was to think about things that kept me awake. So I was like, okay, when I'm playing a game, this is what I'm going to do. And it's kind of like when I'm at work, I'm just like, I want to play Elden Ring, Like sometimes I wish it was like on the Switch sometimes just because I can take the Switch with me. But, obviously it wouldn't be the best, but.
It does run on the Steam Deck. Have you been following that at all?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to get that. Maybe a couple years down the road, maybe. Especially first
it's a
year
big investment.
Yeah, and especially that first batch is always like a beta. Like I heard there's like controller drift with it already, and it's only been out for
really?
And it's some controller drift on it. So definitely like I still got to get a PS5, which is like maybe another year off before I'll get one. Aside from that, I hop back into Destiny because it's been a struggle. Destiny just came out with their big expansion. But Elden Ring it's been calling me, so it's like
it's like I also want to play more Destiny, but Elden Ring is like the thing that I'm like if I sit down and I have some time to play games, or if I'm making time to play games, it's like I might as well just get some more Elden Ring in.
Right. So I played Destiny yesterday, which was fun. It was great. Also, yesterday the raid came out, so they were attempting to raid the first day. Obviously, that wasn't something I can do because I hadn't been playing so my light level wasn't where it should be. But I played yesterday. I played story missions yesterday, and it was super fun. Like I'm not playing Destiny because the new expansion isn't as fun as I think it is. It's because Elden Ring is just like come to me. I love Dark Souls games. I watched JMate's Anatomy of Dark Souls, the last episode he did when he was breaking down Demon Souls. And I've never played Demon Souls. I didn't get into the Soul series until Dark Souls 1, and I saw a lot of those things. Like this game. The only punishment for dying in this game is dropping your runes. There are a lot of things you can run past, you can ride past, and there's so many things that don't require you to fight enemies to get. So it's a very rewarding game. I'm doing a Dex and Faith with a little bit of intelligence build, which is kind of like a slow burn because I didn't like Sigma here helped me with the Godric boss because
right, yeah.
Your magic
people, just wasn't doing anything to him.
Like he was just resistance against magic. Apparently, like the black magic would have worked. I mean, the black fire flame would have worked against him, but I didn't have that. But I'd summon people and they just get wiped, and then it's just me fighting them. But now he's super tanky because 3 people were in the game, so he gets that extra health and extra defense. So it's like, well, I should have just fought him myself. But Sika came in and we were able to like keep pulling his aggro, and eventually, we beat him. Wasn't even? I think it took us 2 times. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, it was only the second time we got him.
Right, and then now since my build has kind of reached where it's valuable, like I can take on most bosses by myself. And then, like I said, the MVP of Elden Ring to me right now is that jellyfish. That jellyfish is the MVP of Elden Ring.
The spirit ashes in general. I'm so in love with that concept.
Great.
Like I feel like I get, like I'm relearning the appeal of Pokemon, right? Like I've been so down on that franchise because it's like been the same thing. But like Elden Ring is making me like, oh, I want these critters to come be my partners and like help me win go on these adventures and stuff. Like I'm really digging it. Like I've been just searching out Ashes of War. I'm not Ashes of War, Spirit Ashes all over the place.
There's loads of them as well, and I found some of my favorites. I think I mentioned it last night was the ones where you can summon skeletons that come back once they die, which is incredibly powerful.
I went and found those as soon as you mentioned them.
I gotta get
super
those.
Powerful. And then there's a spell later on in the game that looked like an upgraded version. I was like, oh, this is just going to be better. And it turns out that it wasn't a summon, as in like a spirit ash. It was a spell. So you could summon skeletons as a spell. And in games, I love playing like summon classes.
Like a necromancer, yeah.
And I'm like, well, with the ashes and those summons, you could just do like a summon build and not play the game. And that would be I would love that. So I think on my next playthrough, I'm going to go in and do like a summon build. That sounds great.
It actually sounds really fun.
Yeah. I fought those skeletons. I didn't know you can summon them because like if you just kill them, they'll come back up if you don't break their bones. Like you got to break their bones.
And the same with the summons. If the boss kills them, he de-aggros from them and goes for you, and then they just get back up.
Just come back. Oh,
and they can do it infinitely unless the boss cleaves them down.
That's super useful.
I've been in a bunch of situations where bosses somehow know that they need to murder these skeletons a second time, because like I'll bring them out and like they'll just pound on them immediatly, stab them once they're on the ground, and come right after me like, you thought I didn't know about this?
I knew these mechanics.
Right, so for some situations they're great, like especially like running through like a town of something, like they're great. Because we're like just jumping everything, and like, those guys get killed, and they draw aggro, and I kill the thing that kills them. Then they just come back and help me some more. But the bosses have been knocking them out in my my experience so far.
Yeah. I gotta try that. But like the jellyfish has just been phenomenal, like so tanky. Yeah, and I haven't even once I upgrade it, I think it's gonna be that much better. I have the headless pumpkin dude, like the dude with like the morning star, but I can't summon him. There's like a slash on him. I don't know why I can't.
Maybe you need more FP.
It would take my whole bar to summon him?
Yeah. The stronger they are.
It tells you the amount.
Oh, wow. Okay,
there's one later on where you can summon, because he's technically a boss. So you can summon other like boss enemies and elite enemies that you can summon.
Yeah, they're like named spirit ashes, I think they're called.
Yeah, they're all named.
Like I have one for the Black Knight or something like that. But I can't summon him yet because my FP bar is not high enough. Like he's 100, and I think at max I have like 90.
That's what I want to do. Just the summon build. You summon a boss and then an army of skeletons, and you just stand in the corner and wait for them to kill the boss.
Yeah. Oh, Honey Money just said I think he's 122 FP or something. So yeah, that's probably why.
God. Yeah,
that's probably why.
Yeah, that'll be why.
I went to a room like I just got him. I'm like, oh yeah, I equipped him. I went to a boss room. I'm about to summon him. I'm like, wait,
can't do
let me. What's going on? It's like retreat.
You start panicking.
Yeah, like retreat. Like this is no. But then the jellyfish comes in handy. Like I was able to cheese a bunch of stuff. Like put the jellyfish right outside the range of certain enemies, worldly bosses, where they would normally walk back. But the jellyfish keeps shooting them and pulling them back. But because they can't go past that threshold, it just keeps pulling their aggro for me to keep attacking them. Nice. So like like little bosses, that I normally wouldn't be able to beat by myself. But like I said, that jellyfish is just phenomenal. Watching wise, I haven't been watching much. I did finish Cuphead. That was good. It wasn't it was pretty good.
Okay. I haven't once it released, I haven't really heard like a ton about it.
Mm-hmm. It got renewed for a second season.
Buzzing or anything.
We got renewed for a second season already, and then me and my girlfriend actually finished Peacemaker last night, so that was really good. I think James.
Yeah, I did too. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that I hadn't watched the last episode for like a couple of weeks. So yeah, we went back and watched that recently too.
I think it was really good. Like the pacing was really good. The jokes were spot on. Like I said, when it came out, I wasn't super interested in it, but when I watched it, it immediately sucked me in. John Cena did a phenomenal job acting. just
He's a
phenomenal.
fantastic actor.
Yeah, like oh my god, like this really shows his range because while it is a comedy, he does has some emotion in it. He goes back and forth. All the characters have character development. They all have their time to rotate and grow through the course of the show. So it was really, really good. And it wasn't like a huge set piece. Like they weren't like, out in the city and you see all these people and stuff. Like it was very minimal the amount of people you saw. But it was very, very, very good. And I think it's relative to what they do with the Mandalorian to even on a smaller scale where you're in these smaller areas and you see this stuff going on, but like you don't see like entire landscapes of tons of hundreds of people or whatever it is. Like this was like a smaller set with a couple people, but it was really, really well done. And they've already confirmed the second season, and then James Gunn will be.
Yeah, I think I read that too.
Yeah, he directed a couple episodes of this season, but next season he'll be directing every episode. And I think he is good for the DC universe. I think they should do definitely, if he doesn't do a bunch of stuff, at least allow him to have creative input on a bunch of stuff. I think he can help get things on track.
Be a producer or something.
Right. Because I think he said Guardians of the Galaxy is his last Marvel movie.
Like Marvel movie?
He's going to take a step back after Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But I also, I think that's about it.
I want to say like he's really good at the whole ensemble thing. Like that seems to be like his go-to or like what people are getting him to go and do, and he just keeps excelling at it. So like, are there other like DC teams that you would want to see get like the James Gunn effect? Because I feel like other than the Suicide Squad in particular, and like offshoots of Suicide Squad, like like maybe Harley and Peacemaker, stuff like that, for him to do that for like the main cast would be a little jarring.
See, I don't think
the regular Justice League, like as a group, like I think that'd be weird if James Gunn was in control.
That's why he picks these obscure things. Like, but here's the thing. I think a lot of times it's not the issue of the comedy in the movies or like that interaction. A lot of times it's the flow of the movie. Like Justice League or Batman versus Superman. Just a lot of things. I think James Gunn does his homework on these characters. And like he knows where he can push the envelope. He also picks a lot of obscure characters who not a lot of people know enough about to where if you change something, nobody's gonna be, knocking on your door like, oh, how could you? How could you? Right. Like so he picks these characters that like they mentioned Kite Man, in Suicide Squad you had a detachable kid. Like what? Like they talk about Batmite, like just these characters that not a lot of people know about, but allows him to push the envelope on these things. So like I would be interested to see him step away from like a group thing and do something else. We also have the Bloodsport HBO series coming too from Idris Elba. The character he played in
a spin-off series?
He's supposed to be getting a spin-off from that. They also have
I had no idea.
Separately from the Batman movie, they have the Penguin series coming to HBO Max as well.
Cool. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff going. And what happens is it's like completely different tones too. Like just completely different tones. Like if you look at something like Suicide Squad versus when you guys do see the Batman, it's like completely different tones.
I think that's what I like about DC at the moment is their Marvel movies are they're good. They're really good. The production value is insane. They're well written, but they're very samey. You know what you're getting when you go and see a Marvel movie.
They make it super clear they're in the same universe.
And DC's quality is dependent, but in the movie side of things. But recently they've been getting a lot better, and the varying degrees of tone have been really, really interesting. Like I don't know what I'm going to get when I go and see the new Batman. And I'm interested to see that. Otherwise, it'd be like, why would I go and see the 50th iteration of Batman? I know Batman's character, but this looks like a kind of a different spin on him, and I want that, and that's what I think DC are doing well.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things coming out from DC that I'm interested to see. Also, Marvel, like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like I am beyond the moon for that. Moon Knight coming out. But then you also have like the Flash the Flash movie, which will be covering like the Flashpoint Paradox, which is like one of the best written comics in DC history. Like I'm super excited about that. And Michael Keaton's Batman's supposed to be in it. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's supposed to go on. Like they're definitely pulling a No Way Home with everything going on.
Yeah,
but
that's supposed to be their multiverse linchpin movie, right?
Yeah.
Right. Which is going to help reset a bunch of stuff. So I'm definitely excited about what they're doing. There's stuff they could have done better. Wonder Woman 1984, also coming up, the first Wonder Woman. I think they dropped the ball with that. Aquaman has had some success. Black Adam looks really good. You have Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. There's a bunch of good stuff coming out with them that's looking good. And they've always been good on their animated side, so that's another thing. And I think I've talked about that enough, so
no worries. I mean, to round out all the Elden Ring talk, it's great. I won't keep going back to it. Like I've talked about it a lot this past week on several other podcasts or whatnot. So I'll just say I am still enjoying my time with it. Outside of that, though, can't really talk about the other thing I've been playing because that hasn't finished embargo yet. But in terms of watching, I watched the people are gonna laugh at me for this. I watched the Love Is Blind reunion special on Netflix because like my fiance's been binging it all. Like I keep getting glimpses of the episode as I like walk past, and like sometimes I'll sit down next to her and like I'll be like, I hate reality shows like that, but I gotta admit some of that shit was really funny.
Wait, someone clue me in? I don't know what this is.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Love Is Blind is like this dating reality show on Netflix where the thing is they put a bunch of singles in these pods, they call them, where they cannot see the other person, they can only talk to them. And so like over a couple of weeks, they kind of form bonds and relationships, and then they have to propose to someone sight unseen. And then if that person says yes, they then get to meet. Fantastic. And then within a week or two's time, they meet each other's family, like they hang out in the real world, and then they have a wedding.
Propose? Do you mean like
they propose? Yes. They ask them to marry them
and do it.
Yeah. So I want to say over the course of the show, it's like maybe 3 to 4 weeks time from beginning to wedding. And then at the wedding, they have to do a final, do you say I do? Because they want that dramatic, oh, I don't, at the altar situation, right?
Yeah,
like that's what it all culminates to. So like it is exciting to see how these different people, because the people in the show, like I genuinely believe like most of them are taking this seriously. Like they're like, yes, I want to find someone throughout this process who I fall in love with. And of the couples, like 2 of them do, and like they're married by the reunion and like seemingly happy. I mean, they're talking about we're learning about this and that because marriage is probably difficult. But then there's all the other people who didn't stay married and like all of their drama, and like it is very interesting, especially with some of the dynamics, because like for one dude in particular, this Indian guy named Sheikh. Yes, he was an absolute misogynist ass, like from day one, where like there were some women in the pods who were like overweight, you could say, or obese, or just heavy, and like the questions he would ask all seemed geared towards finding out whether they were overweight or not. He would say like, I like to go to concerts. Would I be able to carry you on my shoulders? Like, I like a girl who works out a lot. Do you work out a lot? Like that's the kind of stuff he would ask, and like it was very blatant to the women he was asking, that he's just trying to find out what they look like or get a sense of like what their shape is. But he still somehow ended up having someone go to the altar with him. But apparently he treated this girl so shitty that she essentially told him no at the altar, and then he kind of had this whole thing like, I was gonna say no anyway, so it's good that she beat me to it.
He was like,
his whole attitude was just so garbage. Like you can see his face.
That's for that guy.
Yo, you can see the pain. Oh my god, it was hilarious.
Like the whole time during the reunion, he was basically kind of just sitting there, just being an ass. And like everyone would keep telling like, Shake, shut the F up. Like what are you talking about? No one thinks like you. Like it was really funny to see him get ganged up on. But at the same time, he was very funny. Like I have to admit, like his jackassness is of the kind that is funny. Say again?
That's why I feel like all those things are rigged, because he's always one of those guys.
But here's the thing. It's not. I did the research. I saw the interviews. I'm
Unless you
following
on
all of
set
them on
and you
TikTok.
send me pictures.
Nah,
Yeah, man,
I'm
I'll
not
take your word
buying
for it,
it,
man.
dog. I
I'll
literally
take
went
your
through the
word for it.
whole process, and they were explaining, like,
No,
as soon
I
as
get that sense too, honestly.
So
yo,
it's like
crazy.
Flavor of Love real. That's what you're telling me.
Nah, Flavor of Love is like
No, Flavor of
exaggerated VH1. Like, it's within the
No,
same category, but it's definitely not. It's not as ratchet.
I got the sense that the dude Shake was like the only one there who wasn't taking it seriously. Like he was taking it like, oh, this is as phony and fake as all these other reality shows I've seen. And so he was just trying to be a character. But then he didn't realize until like the very end, like in the reunion show, like he finally like got shut up several times. At the very end, he was like, yeah, okay, I think I agree with you guys. I was on the wrong show. Like this, I have a lot of growing up to do, and I need to learn from like all this or whatever. So because he was on some other shit the whole time, honestly. So at the very end, he finally understood that other people were actually taking it seriously and like getting their feelings hurt and stuff. So it was overall entertaining. I don't generally like reality shows of that nature. Like I prefer like the competition kind where like chefs, battling each other in the kitchen, stuff like that. But this wasn't terrible. Though I will say that their next show is essentially called The Ultimatum. And essentially couples where one person is unsure of marriage and the other was like, hey, you need to make a decision on whether we're going to get married or not, all come on a show and then live with other people. And then they now have to decide whether they're going to go back to their partner and marry them or leave and be with either the new person or just a different person in general, which I think is like, this is stupid. Why would you turn this into a TV show? It's dumb as hell, but folks are going to watch it.
That's like
gonna
break
work.
up.
What was that?
That's just a
White
show
Swap
about
or
watching
something?
people break up.
Yeah.
Yeah. White Swap was more about like the home life. Like it wasn't necessarily like, oh look, I'm gonna steal your wife at the end of this.
Like, hey,
but like it reminds me of that old Fox reality show, Temptation Island.
Oh God, I
Because
remember
they did that
Temptation
there.
Island.
Yeah, but like those were like couples, and yeah, you know what? It's exactly Temptation Island. So they've done this before, and it has gone
that shit
quite
hurts my brain, dude.
quite terribly. No, I feel you. Like most of these reality shows, like kill my brain cells. This one was not as bad. Love is Blind is not that.
Yeah,
bad.
that sounds.
It's
that
fine.
sounds
It's watchable.
like campy. I want to watch that.
Yo,
Yeah,
it is
it's
can't
just
be
that guy,
over
you know.
good. The first season, literally, it's whatever. They're figuring it out. The second season, like legitimately, he's referring to. You're looking at this. You're like, this is a terrible group of men. How is this going to work? And then you notice some of them work, and it's just like, how is this working? And there's this one character. I say character, but his name is Shane, and he looks like this. His eyes are open, and he speaks very fast and whatnot. He's so annoying. And like it's crazy because I'm like, yo, as soon as he speaks, you automatically hate him. There's nothing you can do to not hate him. And then he has such an arc because he's like, you start to learn he legitimately is just a bro who's an idiot and he's trying to do better.
Oh,
It's so funny.
Yeah, like there is like kind of a lovableness to him. He's like a big oaf in a way, but yeah, like he has a very like punchable face.
Oh, 100%. Like, if you saw him in person, you're like, why is Gary Busey had a child with a fucking... I don't know. I can't even say what the other thing... I might get canceled if I do that. So, it's ridiculous. You should watch it if you have access to it, and you just... It's a pure, like, what is it, 9 episodes or something like that?
Yeah, it's not that long.
It's fantastic is what it is. My girlfriend got me into it, and I was just like, I don't know why you did
that's
this.
how it happens.
Yo. So mad.
Yeah, that's about it for me in terms of like playing and watching. How about you, Will? What you been gaming on, if anything?
Elden Ring, baby.
yeah,
Lion ass.
Not yet. I'm too nah. Honestly, if I didn't just pull the trigger on buying, because my girlfriend's birthday just passed recently, and I just bought her the Mario Party that came with all the fucking Superstar or whatever old things.
Right? Yeah.
And
We played that a couple game nights ago.
I fucking suck at those games, dude. I don't know. It gets me mad because it's so like it shouldn't make me frustrated, yet here I am, sort of situations. But
Mario Party for you.
yeah, usually I do decently well. I've also found out, and I haven't. When we started playing, we were playing Mario Kart 8 just because we were like, you know what, we should probably get that ready because the DLC whatever started
Oh
playing it,
yeah.
and I was just like, I noticed my girlfriend's brother-in-law just fucking. He literally waits. We'll go on 150cc or 200cc, whatever it is. He'll wait. He won't go to first place. He'll chill at like fifth and just vibe. And then he'll know right around the third round, he'll just get a blue turtle shell and fuck my shit up. So I'm mad at
Yeah.
him. But
Because that's around the position they give it to you.
yeah, but that's a bitch nigga move. Like, why
It
would you
is,
do
it
that?
is.
It don't make no sense.
Yeah.
They give
Like,
me
you go-
tight.
Like you race to win the whole race, and then if somebody gets a blue shell, guess what? They get a blue shell.
Yo, it's crazy.
Some people will
'cause
sit back and wait for that to come up.
I'm gonna have to play.
I mean,
Scummy,
that
'cause
I
that's
guess
the
that
only way
counts
it's
as
gonna work.
strategy if that's the game.
That is a
arc,
legit.
like, arc
That is a
frame.
legit strategy.
Yeah, but
It-
it's a bitch move. It's like somebody's just
It is.
waiting. It's like you know you're not supposed to play like this. He said, I don't care. I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna take that L. And I'm just like, all right, well, not playing Mario Kart anytime soon.
You just gotta stay in second place the whole match until you get to like the last lap, and then just there you go.
It's
Yeah,
honestly,
how you counter it is you do it.
I gotta try. Right? The only way is to I become the bitch.
Like
and
he's
then
in 5th place. You were in 6th place.
just that's such an ass move, dude. You hear
Do him
yourself?
dirty.
That's like in a real race. Like I'm gonna in this relay race, I'm gonna stay in third place until the first two get tired, and then I'm gonna put it all
Then
on
I'll throw a
at the end.
stick at him.
Yeah, and then trip them up.
Like Grace Athena just said, like, don't criticize the strats, develop a counter. It's like, don't play the meta, be the meta. Find the
Yes,
counter.
you got to get good, Will. That's all that means.
Listen, this is I don't need you guys. You understand the reason I don't play Elden Ring is because I know people gonna tell me get good because I know I'm gonna break the controller.
It's not about getting
No,
good.
yeah, no.
No,
It's
I'm
just
just
about finding
saying.
your way of doing it.
Listen, I played Bloodborne once, and once
Yeah.
is good enough.
Yeah, all right.
Because god damn it, you know when you start the fucking game and you just run through and there's like this little it's not little, it's bigger. I don't know what the monster is. It looks like a dog, looks like a wolf or something.
Like a werewolf.
The
yeah.
werewolf.
Yeah. I was fucking giving him hands last minute.
Literally.
Literally.
hands. So you
Yeah,
have
because I
to-
think you only have hands when you first meet him.
Yo, his health bar
He's
was
black.
like this, and then I died. Listen, that's not the point. All right, what was I playing? Shocker, Fortnite. That doesn't stop. The grind never ends with that bad boy. We're waiting for the next season. I've heard to be more Marvel leaks this season that's coming into it, which is
more Marvel
very-
stuff. They're not.
Yeah.
they're not-
well.
Well, what's coming up that they're tying into it? Like Moon Knight.
I saw
Well,
some other stuff coming up.
They always do movies, right? They always get that in advance and whatnot. But more so just because I follow the leakers, so I was just like, yeah, that makes more sense. But also, I think in June or July they're doing a cross event in comic book with Marvel. Then they did that similar with the Flashpoint with DC, which was really freaking good. Like if you like comics, or you don't even need to care about Fortnite. There's actually like a lore that makes sense, and it's just like, oh shit, this actually, like when you start thinking when you play Fortnite, like this is a weird thing, and it kind of gives it like an interesting narrative about it. So, excited for that. I'm still playing Extraction. I know like probably 2 people play it, but I still
man.
do.
Can you share some numbers? Like how's that doing internally?
What game is that?
I mean, I've seen the numbers.
Rainbow
and I
Six
can't
Extraction.
give-
Oh, you
yeah.
still play that? Oh, wow.
Well, you know.
I thought you
Well,
were talking
if
about
you-
Battlefield for a minute.
No. Well, in case you got, I can explain this because it's part of my role. When you guys end up playing on a next-gen console, specifically the PlayStation 5, and you press the PlayStation button when you're stuck, and they end up being an extraction, like, you know, whatever, you need hints and tips and tricks and all that other shit. I do all that stuff. So that's extremely tiring, and I had to make sure at one point that it was on launch day. I was just like, I need to make sure everything looks good, at least in English. I don't care about the other languages right about now. If it's good in English, then that means it's good everywhere else. And what ended up happening is, as I started doing that, I started playing by myself and doing solo incursions, and I just could not stop. And my boss is like, there's other games. You're not forced to play any Ubisoft games. And I'm like, this one has its claws on me, and I can't get out. I just want to get like a
That
certain
is
amount of
interesting.
achievements. Yeah, well, there's like, because it's really easy to do because it's cross-plat and cross-play. So like you can just kind of do whatever, and it comes down to it. And like, I did some I left my PlayStation back in my apartment. I'm at my girlfriend's place now, and I'm just like, yo, I really still want to play. So I just installed Game Pass and was like, oh shit, yeah, that's fucking, I don't know, it was lit. So I'm still playing it. I probably need to stop because it's unhealthy at this point. But it's just because of the fact that like some of the things they're like, hey, get a person operated to level 10 and then do 5 incursions perfectly fine. And I'm like, that's right around the corner. Then they have some other shit. Kill enough of the company. It's like these little small assignments that
little baby goals that you are so close to, you might as well meet them.
That's the thing. And this is the exact same shit that ended up happening when Siege came out back in 2015. Because I was telling people, and I even said it in my interview, I was like, I remember, like, literally, I told them later, I was like, I remember my roommate and I used to just get really high and just fucking play Rainbow Six Siege and yell at each other. As if we were good. Throwing out comms that made sense. Totally did not. And then it's so funny because I actually did, like, a series that went up with those guys about... with different influencers in the Rainbow Six market, but in there I made a trailer, and in that trailer I produced, I ended up working with Ash, who was one of the operators, like the voice actors. She also did Link
nice.
in like the newer things on the Switch. I don't remember. And I was just like, yo, can I tell you this is meta? Like, I've heard your voice so many times. This is so weird. And she's like, I know that's weird, but it's also not that weird. It's really flattering. I'm like, well, as long as you don't yell at me like you do in the game, everything will be fine. But yeah, no, outside of that, like I set this up earlier, so this sounds crazy, but like it just sounds like I'm just a UB fiend. I promise I'm not. I've just been trying to go through the Assassin's Creeds, like all of them, because I don't fucking remember anything, dude. And
so you're playing like all the mainline games?
Yeah,
like
well, I'm not
like
trying to 100%.
Like...
Well, I already did 1, 2, 3. I mean, 1, 2. Brotherhood, and I'm finishing up Revelations now. It's only because of the fact that I've had a chance to see a little bits and pieces of an upcoming DLC for an Assassin's Creed game, and it's not like it's not new. Dawn of Ragnarok, and I'm just like,
they already announced it.
Yeah, it's coming out soon. It's like a big chunk DLC.
I think you play as Odin and you fight the Surtur and the Frost Giants and stuff. It looks pretty cool. Definitely digging into that Norse mythology.
Yeah, more Norse. Give it to us.
Listen, it's Ubisoft, man. If we can squeeze every dime out of it, it's a fun situation. But also, like, it's actually not... As for somebody who's never really played God of War, which you can attack me. I know, it makes no sense. But, like... This is gonna scratch that itch.
Yeah, get him,
motherfucker.
Yeah.
I own it if that helps, but no, I just haven't had it cheap.
Yeah, that makes it worse. Actually, I'm sorry.
Yo, dude, there's so many games that's within my backlog that I've owned that I just have never touched.
Give them away.
No,
give them away.
They're digital. It's a digital console. What do you mean, give them away?
Give away the console. Just give it to someone on the street.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Give it to that dude you kicked in his door.
Oh, that's right. I'm going straight to New York and be like, here's a PlayStation 5. Have fun. Like, but outside of that, yeah, right. Outside of that, I've recently just randomly played Among Us. I don't know why. I think it's because I have bought an ultra wide, and I'm like, I can fucking see everything.
I can see everything. I've become a god.
The murders are crazy. I'm like, man, like, how can you see that? I was like, my guy, fucking boom. Of course I can see that. I saw your thoughts before you did it, dude. What are you doing?
Cheating? Like,
yeah, right?
Hey, listen.
Among Us, they built in ultra wide monitor support for.
Right.
I don't have to say that they listen. All I'm saying is that if you got pro strats, you guys just gave me shit for complaining about the Mario.
I don't know. That sounds less like a pro strat and more like cheat software.
Will is being the meta right there.
You're making it sound like I have like a freaking aiming software. Like it's just me. Like, oh shit, you're doing some sus shit in that corner. I don't know if I was crazy. Yeah, but. I'm gonna be playing the game, guys. I want the hype to die down for a second before I go into it, because if I buy, this is what happens. Yeah, I know, that's the problem. My boss literally tells me, he's like, I will buy this game for you, and I'm like, no, don't. Like, he's crazy. He bought a collector's edition that didn't ship for some reason, so he bought it digitally, because I guess something ended up happening where it was doing a refresh and it didn't have his credit card information. So didn't ship that version. Ended up being where he bought it digitally, put like 40 hours into it. Then didn't tell me anything, just randomly spam me with like the statue, the art book. He's like, I bought this off the gray market. And I'd send him the meme and I'm like, well, what did this cost you from like fucking Marvel movie? And he said, honestly, my Steam Deck reservation. And I'm like, hey, whatever. This is your you've laid your bet at it. You made it anyway. But outside of that, I've been watching Love Is Blind because I'm a child. I've been watching an NBC show called Grand Crew, which is just like 20,
I've heard of that. What is that? Yeah, what is that about?
It's literally like just, I don't want to say a Black Friends because it's not sitcom-y in that regard, but like it's legitimately just like people just like in their 30s, then they're trying to figure out life. It has like Nicole Byer. It's the only name I know by heart, so I can't say anything else. But like, it's comedy based. It's fun. It's really fun. They always drink. Every episode is something with a wine or something like that. Even if you hear the theme song, that he goes like Cabernet, blah, blah, they just list like different wines, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But it's great. It's actually really really funny. I hope it gets renewed. I've also watched.
Yeah, I've seen like random clips. Like it seems like kind of like working class people dealing with like kind of just weird situations. It reminded me very vaguely of like Donald Glover's Atlanta, but like less dark and dramatic, like more kind of light and more comedy focused than Surrealist.
It's very sitcom-y, and it's funny because of the fact that it's like, I drew this comparison. My girlfriend loved How I Met Your Mother, and she was like, can we watch How I Met Your Father? I'm like, sure, but I don't have high hopes for it. And lo and behold, I've seen more character development and actual growth between like maybe 10 episodes or 9 episodes of Grand Crew than I had in 7 or 8 episodes of How I Met Your Father. Like it's not as funny. It's not funny at all, if you ask me.
Yeah, I heard people aren't liking the spinoff.
Yeah,
Honeymoney says How I Met Your Father is terrible.
I listen. I don't disagree. I one of those things I've learned as I've gotten older that like I just kind of pick up shows and I'm like, this is stupid. But then there's one thing that keeps me going, and then it's just like I'm in it and I can't get out. I'm hoping
you commit to it, and so you stick it out till the end.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I could stop sooner rather than later because it's driving me up the goddamn wall. I'll tell you that much. But
just stop, Will. You can quit anytime.
Well, yes. Atlanta's coming up soon, so I'm very excited for that. That's like sometime this month.
What's that about?
Atlanta? Atlanta's everything. What you mean? You never seen Atlanta?
No.
Donald Glover, Keith. Oh, I can never say his name. The guy from
Keith Stanfield.
Danny from Get Out. Danny Glover? You mean talking about Danny Glover?
Donald Glover?
Yeah.
No,
Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always mixed them up. Sorry.
Danny Glover, Mel Gibson, they're all in that bitch.
Oh, okay. So it's like Lethal Weapon revisited.
Yes.
Yeah. Except there's a little more hood, a little more authenticity there. You know what I mean?
Now, what city is it in? What state does it take place in?
Oh man, it's in actually New Brunswick, right?
Okay. New Brunswick, New Jersey. Okay.
It's about middle-class white people and how we gentrify the locations and drive minorities out. Is that not what Atlanta's
I don't know how many middle-class white people are in New Brunswick, to be honest.
I have no idea. I'm fucking this shit out this way, and I'm waiting for somebody to stop me. But the last thing for shows-wise, I think I'd recommend at least trying out if you're looking for. It's one of those NBC comedies that gets me again. It's a thing called Abbott Elementary.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That show's great.
It's such a weird thing because my girlfriend is an actual school teacher. She's like, when do they fucking teach? And I'm like, they don't. It's just when you have to. Yeah. And I was telling them, I'm like, you gotta go see that even the cinematography is aiming for like the Office sort of feel and whatnot.
Yeah, it's very Office inspired.
Yeah, when did they work in the office? It's like, I can know that answer to that question. So,
right.
Yeah, so.
And I love like the little interviews they do, like those. What was it? What's the name of that? Oh my God, Family.
Modern Family.
Modern Family. Those little side camera like interviews.
Oh
yeah.
Talking heads.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, cool.
Oh, guys, wait, one more thing. If you still have Far Cry or the DLC pass, Stranger Things. That's all I gotta say. I'm not an advertisement. I'm just saying I personally keep in mind. Like you have a code, so you should be fine.
Yeah, but Stranger Things is coming to Far Cry 6.
Right.
You didn't see my launch blast? Come on. Yes.
No.
You got Demogorgons. You got Demogorgons coming to
Dog, I sent you
That
the
actually
code.
sounds-
Come on, man.
No, you sent me the code. I didn't know that this was part of that.
Yo, I told you it comes with everything. It's the gold, whatever it is, the ultimate. So you got everything.
Yeah, but like that wasn't. But like, was that known ahead of time?
Yes, they did the Danny
idea.
Trejo thing. Well, our marketing sucks. What do you?
Well, no, that was a secret though. That was a secret.
That was
got
not a
leaked.
secret. No, but it was. I'm talking about when they announced that their post content plan. That was the last thing that was there.
All right, cool. Yeah, I would like to check that out because there've been a lot of Stranger Things like collabs, and none of them seem to like kind of make sense, honestly. But like Stranger Things in a shooter, that seems more sensible for some reason. Like those are monsters. Like if they attack you and like the world is weird, shoot them.
Yeah, but you also got to keep in mind, Far Cry 6 had like, it's so, like, it's a weird thing, their post-launch thing. Like, not the villains, 4, 5, and 6, whatever it ends up being, or 3, 4, and 5, that was perfectly fine. But like, why was Danny Trejo in thing?
Why not? You're
Why
gonna
not have
deny Danny Trejo?
I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying there was no sort of connection. It was just like Danny Trejo's here. Oh, and also don't forget, like they just started throwing like random shit to hit the wall. They're like Rambo mission, and I'm like, okay. At least I like the bow. The weapon's really badass. But I was just like, is there any correlation? They're like, no, money. I'm like, all right, cool. That sounds good.
Money is the only answer you need to any question, really.
Honestly.
Patrick said, I noticed Jeff Discord says he's playing Elden Ring right now. He's multitasking. I was playing before the stream. Right now, I'm just sitting at a grace.
I don't believe you, dude. We've got to see your hands.
Show the monitor. Show the monitor. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Hands up. Controllers
fighting a boss right now.
Does it run decent on Xbox?
On Series X? Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. I just wanted to see because I even heard PC issues, but I just I don't play
Only issue on Xbox was the online wasn't working.
Yeah, online wasn't working for the first couple of days, but that's been rectified since.
Jeez Louise.
So all right, we can move on to our first topic. We mentioned the almighty dollar, and that seems to be what's going on here as all the Go Media affiliated sites have gone on strike. No content on Kotaku, Jezebel, Lifehacker, Engadget. Like many of these are sites that I read on a regular basis. Like I know Kotaku gets a lot of flack for being like very leftist or whatever with some of their like posts and whatnot, but I still really like a lot of their articles. Not all of them, but many of them are still like really good like games journalism. And so the fact that some time ago they were bought, like their parent company was bought out by Go Media and kind of gutted in a lot of ways. Like there were a lot of layoffs, certain sites in their network got shut down, and they haven't really had a great relationship between like the executives and like the staff on the sites for a while now. So it seems like this year they were, going over negotiations for like pay and whatnot, and they kind of got the last straw because apparently so much has changed amid the pandemic, and the staff kind of wanted some improvements in terms of like what they were being paid, and the offices weren't trying to hear it. So they've gone on strike. They've been on strike for, I want to say, the last week or so now. But just recently, and I'll let you guys weigh in after I impart this news, as of March 1st that they were officially on strike, actually. So like, about a week now. But they've recently just got back to negotiating, and they're about $3,000 away from reaching a deal with their parent company now. So like there's some lingering stuff about increasing salaries for like their like least paid workers. And like they're still going back and forth about that right now. So this strike has appeared to be largely successful. Like they've had pretty much all of their demands met, as far as I can tell. So like I just want to get you guys' opinion on, I guess, some of these outlets in general, like their methodology for going on strike to get what they need, and like kind of their coming out the other side largely winning, it seems like. Like I doubt that this is going to continue without them kind of getting that last thing, since they're hell-bent on banding together as a union.
Yeah. I think they're justified in what they're doing. A lot of the times, parent companies come in, completely shake things up, and ruin a lot of people's lives. Josephina just said that apparently trying to force remote workers hired during the pandemic to move. And I'm sure they
Rachel
were
in
doing
chat's
a lot
letting
of
us know
things.
that.
For everyone to go on strike, they must have been doing something bad. Like refusing to pay people for the time they're working or whatever. We obviously don't know the internals of it, but there must have been some really rough layoffs happen. Parents company having to make cuts happen. It's part of the business, but there must have been something rough for everyone to strike. So I think they're probably justified in what they're doing. And what other way could you make changes happen? Like you have this, the only power they have is they're the creators of the content. So stop creating, and then the money stops coming in. That's how they take the power
That's how
back.
you get people's attention, like very quickly, I might add.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I
I just
think,
want to
in my
say,
opinion, justified.
Yeah, I
I have
agree.
a sour taste with fucking Geo Media prior, because so I remember when I was back in New York, like I must have thrown my name in a hat at one point at Engadget, and I think like I had a recruiter talk to me and whatnot, and this was slightly after they got in, so we're just talking like potentially going. I went through the interview, so on and so forth, and like just completely unprofessional. Like there was one point where I was at an interview and it was remote call and video. So I was there and I'm just like, it's a solid 30 minutes and you guys aren't here. What the fuck is up with that? So that was just like my initial impression of them. So to say that obviously everybody else that they had any sort of situation outside where they needed to go and do a freaking strike, I'm all for it as long as it's for the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't really care for half of the brands that they have that are there. To be honest, I don't even like Kotaku. I'm keeping it a buck with you.
No, I
But
mean
you know,
there's people who aren't fans
yeah.
for
Well,
sure.
it doesn't change the core fact that like if they're not meeting their needs. Like I've done plenty of internships within the city on companies that were very similar to like what you call. Well, I guess Geo Media isn't the company itself, but like working along
Yeah,
those lines where it's just like,
they're the parent company.
yeah, they'll just exploit and shit, and it's just like whether it be an intern, whether it be temp work, I've seen it, and I'm just like, y'all are really doing the most, and y'all don't care. I know some people would argue like, oh, well, no, we HR should care for the people, and then that was my first like real example where I'm like, HR don't give a shit about you, they give a shit about the company.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, it
100.
is what it is. It's crazy. Hey, I'm hoping that they get what they deserving when it comes down to it, because I mean, doesn't matter to company. Even look at my company where I'm at now. You know what I mean? There's been things that's been going. I'm not gonna touch on it because I want to keep collecting the bad guys, but more so just because of the fact that like there's things that's been tackled internally, obviously that we don't know of, and there's things that's happening that's externally. It's more so when people start moving the needle, and it's not just like we're gonna reorganize this and that, and that just makes me think of like the Activision acquirement from Microsoft, whatever, and they're still keeping Bobby Kotick. It's just like, yo, fuck that guy. Like we already know, get him out. Like there's.
Yeah,
I'm being problematic.
I don't think they. Yeah, I don't think they
Keeping him
have.
after the acquisition. I think he's staying up until they're acquired, and
Yeah,
then
like
after that,
they don't
everything
have
goes
the
through.
necessary control to just be like, hey, leave.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
So like once
100%.
that's done, then
It's just one of those things where you see it and you're just like, I hope this doesn't fall on deaf ears, because then that's just
right.
like,
Right.
oh, we
I
just
doubt it.
shuffled some cards around. So silly.
Right. Um, I'm always for people getting what they should have. A lot of times, people won't give you what you deserve unless you say, "This is what I deserve." A lot of times, is if you ask for $10 an hour and they could pay you 15, they're going to give you that $10 an hour because that's what you asked for. They're not always
Right.
about
Yeah.
doing what's altruistic or what's right for the person. So I'm a big believer in paying people what they deserve. So that way, when it comes to performance, pay can't be an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like you take that out of the equation. People still have to make a living. They have, things to pay for, bills and such. So paying them something that's below their living wage or what they deserve kind of puts them in a bad situation where they're going to deal with unnecessary stress, which will then affect them at work. We like to say that home doesn't carry over at work, but that's not always true. If a person is able to live comfortably and get paid for the work they do, that only inspires them to want to do better or do more. I think we talked about they got, like you said, they went in and cleaned house and got rid of a bunch of people. Well, then now they're expecting the lower staff to cover everything that the other the people they let go were supposed to cover.
Right.
Right. Which isn't, I need you to have this on my desk by the end of the day. Yeah, but I have 15 other things. Yeah, but I need that on my desk by the end of the day. Like, just unrealistic expectations, and then you're not paying them what they deserve. Like, a lot of times I think the way things are approached makes a big difference. I even see that when I'm at work. Like, I never word something as a demand or as an order. It's always, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you do this for me? Hey, and then always appreciation. When I hire people, I make sure that they get paid the max that I can pay that person. So that way, when they come aboard, when I'm asking them, they know this is what I'm getting paid. You gave me everything I deserve. Full transparency. Hey, I'm paying you above what we start people at, just so you know. So when you come on, hey, he didn't have to do that, or they didn't have to do that. So when I ask them to do something, they're more inclined to do it as well. Also, incentives. Hey, you did a great job. Let me buy you lunch. It's a little equivalent. It's a little different in bigger companies, but equivalent things like, hey, you guys, numbers are up. Everybody gets a bonus or whatever it is. I have to believe that they bought them and understood what was already going on. It wasn't like they were struggling and they were about to go bankrupt and they acquired them, and then they're coming in and trying to change things and make it more profitable. I think it was already profitable, and they bought them and they saw what this company was doing. Before you purchase something, I would hope you would do the research and say, okay, this is what Kotaku is about. This is the things that they do. Me purchase them, does that align with what I would expect them to do? Like, I feel like those conversations should be held, because when you go in and you immediately start changing everything, it could be positive changes. But when you come in like that and start changing everything, it immediately puts a bad taste in people's mouth. So you, as let's say everybody quits, then what?
Yeah, say less.
Because that's the energy that they project into these companies when they do that. Like, I remember when this acquisition first took place, like it was like a very dark cloud. You could see in like all the writing from the outlets. Like, they were addressing their readers about the fact that their parent company had shifted and like there were going to be like people leaving and stuff like that. No one was happy. Like, you got the sense that it was one of those situations where like a new boss comes in, and because they're the new boss, they have to make some sort of stand. Like, they have to put their stamp on it and be like, oh, I did this. Right. So it doesn't matter that the company was already doing fine, that everyone was happy, but the new guy has to basically have their fingerprints on the fact that a bunch of people got fired, these numbers changed, that thing changed, because there's a new guy here. And that's just not necessary. Pay attention to what's happening with that staff, because there was always this sort of like disconnect between like the parents and the sites that they managed. So it doesn't surprise me that it kind of came to a head in this way. But I do commend all these sites for kind of banding together and forming what I think might be one of like the first, or at least one of the first, like games media unions, right? Because like this is something that the game developers have been struggling to get off the ground for a long time. Like, I want to say the first one was Activision Blizzard just very recently, and then to have that situation kind of followed up by this one, which has proven to be much more successful than the Activision Blizzard one has been so far, kind of, I feel like it kind of sows some seeds, and I do think we'll see and hear about more similar stories than this in the future, and hopefully some of these other parent companies are paying attention so that they don't end up like this, right? Because it's not just Geo Media. There are lots of media companies out there who, are trying to get as much money as they can out of creatives and talent and whatnot. And so if they basically see like, look, we are in danger of having this repeated to us as well, like, let's be proactive. Let's make sure the needs are being met. Let's make sure we're not losing out on this revenue for a pending strike because we're also doing the same garbage that Geo Media is doing, right? Like, that's what I would hope comes from this sort of news. So I apologize if this was like a little like heady or like political in a sense, but just wait, because we got something else coming up for you. But I just wanted to really make sure that this was something that we addressed on this show, even if it's not like the most entertaining of like, you know, topics. Because I do think it's super important.
It's also super important to like us. We're all people who work
Yeah.
in either the games industry or in games media, and as we all know, a lot of the times we're not forced, but sometimes we're expected to work above full-time hours to get content out, and sometimes people in our situations aren't paid what they deserve for working those type of hours and working as hard as they do, and it's nothing to do with those people's higher ups, but it's their higher ups, it's the parents company who don't see the inner workings of how long it takes to make that content and how much energy it takes. They just see the numbers, and they're only seeing that end product. So I think them banding together and being like, no, our workers deserve this money because they put this much effort in, they do this much work, and all effectively saying we'll quit if you don't. That is spot on, absolutely spot on.
Absolutely. And now is one of the worst times to be on the receiving end of that type of publicity, where you're not doing right by your employees and they all need to band together to force some type of change. Because once again, because of what's going on with Activision Blizzard, where you hear it's the perfect time to come out because yes, they were probably already the bad guy, but now in everybody else's eyes, they are the bad guy. Like, okay, yeah, like the fact that these people have to band together to force you to pay them well. Like a couple years ago, maybe not. Maybe, we don't know the inner workings, we don't know what's going on. But now it's because they have to strike for pay. Like those are the two keywords: strike and pay. That means they weren't getting paid enough, and now they all need to strike to force some type of change because diplomacy wasn't working through just words or meetings or listening to your employees. It resulted in the most extreme ramifications to where everyone was like, you know what? Every employee, it didn't say 7 or 12 or 15. It said everyone across the board went on strike, which means it got so bad that this was the only recourse that they could take to force some type of resolution in their favor.
True. So, I mean, any lingering thoughts on this topic before we move on to our even more political topic?
Let's turn that notch up to 11.
All right, let's do it. So, as you guys are all, of course, aware, there is currently a war happening between Russia and the Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, Russia's president, is trying to annex that entire country for, you know, his reasons. It's really shitty. Like, I think we can all agree upon that. But in response to these events, the Ukrainian president basically asked the industry, the whole games industry, hey, stop selling your products and doing things to support like Russia during this time. Like they specifically called on like games and movies and, you know, entertainment industries to stop supporting Russia in that way with their products. And a lot of companies have actually responded in kind. Like CD Projekt Red said they wouldn't sell anything there. Sony didn't make an announcement, but they have started pulling products. Microsoft, I think as a whole company, because like not just their Xbox division, but like their tech division, their, you know, software division, stuff like that. Whatever dealings they have dealing with like the actual sanctions that are going on with the government, they're like, oh yeah, we're in accordance with that. Like we're not messing with Russia at all either. So WB was like, oh, we're not going to release the Batman movie over there. And like a lot of other studios are like, oh, we're not going to give you guys our movies. Like, so on one hand, like it feels a little like, I don't want to like sound inconsiderate, but it seems like small, like, oh, they're not going to get to watch a movie, big deal. But it's like, what else can some of these entertainment entities, like this is their business, like what else can they do to show solidarity?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm just curious what you guys think about like this kind of response. We're like, oh, we won't give you video games, we won't give you movies until you stop waging war.
Well, yeah. Carol Jeff's so good.
No, go ahead, you go.
Well, for one, there's like two stances to this, right? One is whatever anyone needs to do to stop this war in Ukraine. Exactly. Whatever influence anyone can do to influence the Russian government to pull out. If this starts with, you know, Disney and whoever pulling out support and sending products to Russia, that will start a snowball where everyone starts to do it, and that might influence the outcome of the war. I think that is a positive thing. But there's also the stance of looking at it from a different perspective which is it's punishing the Russian people for something that their government is doing, which sucks for them. But I think the war is bigger than that. Absolutely. I think that is where the priority lies. So I get it. I get it, but I also just, like you said, it's just that's all they can do really to kind of help in that way. But it's also punishing a huge population of people. So I'm of two minds, but stop the war, full stop.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, that would be the easiest solution for sure. Like, just don't do this, Russia. But...
right.
I think why it's little things, it's not sending any money over there. So, and also it's to help push pressure to where, yes, it's a movie, but guess what? There are people working in the theater who depend on those movies to come in, so they can have the flow of people to come in to help earn revenue.
Destroy their economy.
Exactly. The theater industry is already in trouble. Now we have these big blockbuster movies coming to help reinvigorate some of that support in the theater industry. Can you imagine just no movies coming in now after that? Because you got to believe, like, if this isn't rectified or if this continues, you won't be seeing any Marvel movies, any DC movies, any of those big movies that draw a big crowd to come in. Like, there will be no Multiverse of Madness over there. I could see them not having Disney Plus. There will be no Moon Knight. So there's going to be a revolt.
Their theater industry would die.
Right.
And hundreds and thousands of jobs would be destroyed. And the more that loads of different companies start doing this across the board in loads of different industries, it's going to destroy in the short term. It's going to destroy their economy, which is a driving force to convince them, like, we should stop this because the world is not supporting us in anything.
Right. And the thing is, like, the thing I didn't know was that Russia was one of the biggest producers of grain. So a lot of people were boycotting them. They're great. It's going to cause issues for us, but it's a sacrifice in order to stand for something bigger. Vodka, which comes from Russia, places are no longer selling vodka. Like, there's changes being made because here's the thing: we're not going to go and attack them because last thing anybody wants is World War III or nuclear war. Yeah. Right. Like, that's the last thing we want, So to starve them out, it's attrition. It's a war of attrition. Like, how long can you go with a starving economy to where people get fed up and just have some issues? Like, I attribute Putin's mentality to like Stalin, where he was gonna do what he wanted to do regardless. Like, he made himself out to be a god. Like, they rewrote history books. Like, they taught the history that they wanted to teach. Like, this Stalin is world, Stalin is everything, and this he can do no wrong. And I think that's some of the same stuff for Russia. But I'm glad to see companies making a stand, whether they're doing it for altruistic reasons or not. I'm glad to see them making a change because it might start with a smaller domino, and then gradually it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to where their economy is going to pretty much be like dead.
Yeah.
Even the banks, a lot of banks cut them off. It's like a lot of the Swiss banks, which are like normally neutral, they cut them off. It's like even like the rich people who live in Russia are losing money, which is going to put pressure on.
Yeah, like, isn't the U.S. government is like seizing a bunch of like Russian like yachts and stuff? Like, they're super rich mega yachts. Like, they own property over here. They're like, well, we'll just seize all their assets over here because they're close enough to the government over there.
Right.
Like, yeah, because I mean, all of this, and it's sad because, like, folks are saying in the chat, a lot of the Russian citizens are also against the war, and this is really from the top. Like, it's Putin and I guess his inner circle. I don't even know how many people in that government really support him or are just scared of him because of his power. But it's like, he wants this, and everyone underneath him essentially is gonna be the ones who get squeezed. And like, they have to be made so desperate that they do something about their leader, because he is at the top and he doesn't really. I can't imagine Putin cares about the Russian theaters not getting movies and like the theater chains going bankrupt or whatever. Like, he personally will be fine because he clearly does not care about other humans. Right. So like,
and that's what's gonna
all of this pressure hurts the country, which I guess diminishes Putin's like ability to act like with power and impunity outside of it, but still within that country, like it's hard to say like what can really happen. Like he may just get more unhinged and desperate, but like there's no real way to know one way or the other. So like yeah, I get why if your main export is entertainment, you're gonna go, all right, well, no more entertainment. Like that's what I have to offer.
Right. And another thing is, like I said, somebody put in the chat, like I said, is misinformation. You know, what they're spreading is a false narrative, probably to let people know, like, hey, we're in the right.
Right.
The rest of the world is against us. They're the enemy. We're the ones in the right. You know, we see this like in North Korea, where they like, you know, they have this big propaganda that, you know, Kim Jong-un is like God to them, and like he doesn't poop and like all that stuff. Like same thing, like I said, with Stalin, where he rewrote the history. Like they even have a ministry where they go around and sanction anyone who speaks out against Putin. I think there was like it was a hip hop documentary that covered hip hop in Russia, and these hip hop artists were getting censored and shut down if they had anything to say against the government. Like there's a whole ministry that determines this stuff. Like and I think
Putin in particular is a very scary one of these, because I mean all of these guys are like these kind of dictator type leaders, because he will kill dissenters. Like he'll send people to just murder people who like there I think there were like journalists not too long ago who he was kind of implicated as being behind the assassination of, like in another country, like he wasn't in Russia, like he was a dissenter from there who was, I think, in the States, and he had like spies murder him. So like it's very scary.
Yeah, it's whatever it does to get it sucked. Like I said, it sucks that the Russian people are being punished,
right,
what their government is doing, but also in regards to misinformation, because of the propaganda and the way they project their media over there, taking away entertainment from like the West is going to make some people start thinking, and why is this happening? Because not everyone over there is against the war, because their media has been trying to make it seem like this is a good thing and this is what was supposed to happen. So they've effectively been brainwashed into that. The rest of the world taking away assets and taking away entertainment and everything is going to make them think, well, why? The entire world can't be against this thing that's seemingly good, and it's going to get people to think and do their own research online and stuff like that, which is where a lot of the actual facts are coming from. So I think all in all, them cutting off some things is leaning towards a positive thing, but there are a lot of negatives for it. Don't care about them losing money, like, you know, Disney losing money because they're not selling things in Russia. I don't care about them losing money. I care about the people there being punished for something they have no control over, and also the
They're
war
just
stop.
caught in the middle of it on that end, which sucks for them, but also Ukrainians are being killed like needlessly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, so yeah, whatever you can do to try and stop just general war, especially when you have such influence like one of these big companies, like, do, right? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense to, like, if you have a means to do something, whatever it is, to just not to choose to do nothing, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's something I personally don't understand or can't get behind. But I don't know. Is there anything left to really say about this? Because, like, again, like, this, it's such a rough topic. Like, I know, like, emotions go all over the place. Like, there are other things about this story that I won't touch on here that I find problematic as well. But we can leave it at that if you guys are ready to get into our final topic.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So you thought we were done with Elden Ring? Ha.
Oh, fuck.
Someone lied to you. So yeah, apparently there is a black market for runes, which is the currency, kind of equivalent to souls in the Dark Souls series in Elden Ring, right? There are bids. There are not bids. There are products. I don't know what you call it. Like, they're selling like 20 million bundles of just runes that will help you, buy items, level up, essentially make you like super overpowered in the game to kind of meet the challenge that it asks of you, right? And like the way this works is like people they buy the thing and then like they meet with someone in game. This is for the PC, I want to say. Like I don't think this is something that you can do on consoles because like the PC players are hacking to get this many runes. And so like they meet in game, then they drop like a couple of like the golden rune items, which you know are basically like consumable, consumable rune things, and then folks are just getting millions and millions of runes. And so I'm a little torn on this because one, this does break From Software's end user license agreement. Like you're not allowed to like sell in-game stuff outside of the game for real money. Like, because that has gotten dicey in the past, like kind of having these side markets of real money in video games before. Right. But players who are really struggling and want to get through some of this stuff maybe don't have any other recourse. And so they decide, I'm going to spend money to kind of make the game easier. But then does having millions and millions of runes applied to your character make the game easier? I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about this sort of practice.
I'm going to keep it a bean. I think it's dumb.
Bean.
I'm just, that doesn't make sense. Dumb. It's simple just because of the fact that like my approach is this. If you can only do it on PC and you're struggling, they already added mods to pause it. They have mods for you to just go through it. Like if you're cheating the system regardless, then just cheat. If you want the challenge, then take the challenge. I know that sounds stupid as fuck coming from me because I hate these games, right? But like, it just seems very illogical. I'm going to go buy something on eBay and say, hey guys, I'm going to spend $10 and I'm going to become fucking OP. And it's just like, I guess if that makes you feel good, sure. But it just seems counterproductive. I think it takes away from the fun, realistically. If you have a disability, I can understand that in a regard. But also, like, I'd rather you take alternative than spend money for hackers who are just not doing it. Like, it doesn't seem the right way to go about it.
That's my stance on it. As well, I think so. Anyone who's seen my series, I bring it up a lot. I'm especially in my Dark Souls design stuff. I'm a big proponent for accessibility. Games should be accessible for people, like Will said, people with disabilities. If people with disabilities should be forced to spend money on eBay to be able to access a game, that is that's nuts. Like, you spend $60 on a game, and then people are like, spend another $60 to get a million runes. As Will said, there are things and mods that can help with that, but also it's up to the developers, and this is where the easy mode topic comes in. Developers should be doing things to allow games to be accessible for people. With Celeste is a wonderful example with their assist mode, which just adds certain elements. I believe you don't get achievements for it because you're using a kind of inbuilt cheat engine,
like a helper thing. Yeah,
I think they may have changed that now. But
isn't that annoying though? Like, because if I'm somebody who's struggling with something, right, and it's the same thing. I go back to the GTA days. Yeah, and I'm just like, if GTA like San Andreas 3, whatever you go through in that, and they're like, you can't do this because it breaks this. I know this is like kind of a side conversation, but I just think that's so dumb because of the reality. It doesn't, like, I know a ton of people who legitimately just want to clean up trophies.
Yeah.
And people who just want to enjoy it. And the way I look at it, and even when I tell myself when I'm stressed out on work, I'm like, I am fortunate enough where I work we're selling games. Right? Mm-hmm. So why the fuck are we worried about Joe Schmo who wants to play a solo experience the way they want? That's on them. That's just proof of concept that they did not keep in mind accessibility from the get-go. And I think Sifu is the prime example where it's just like, yo, we made something good and we like, yo, but we understand people are struggling. And they fucking was like, let's give them an easy mode. Let's give them. I don't think there's any shame in it. I know people are they're gonna be some that are just like, oh, play the game the way it's supposed to. Yeah, fuck off. I play it the way I want to, and that's the main difference.
Fuck yeah.
So did you use the easy mode in Sifu?
No, because as I previously mentioned off stream, it would not be possible. So I'm gonna keep it a bean. That's it.
I mean, that's fair. I like the way I enjoy games is oftentimes because they challenge me. Like that's one of the things I like about that experience. That's why like the FromSoft games have been something that I've like really taken to, right? So I 100% understand other people who are like, the challenge is the thing I'm there for. But at the same time, if someone wants to experience something and cannot because of that challenge, I'm 100% fine with it being made more accessible to them, like by having, you know, either difficulty options or other ways to kind of modify the game to specifically make it work for them. But again, like I have to admit, I'm a little torn on this idea of like, okay, so you do the thing that the game design wanted you to do, and so you earn the achievement. And then if you can't achieve that, do it this way, but you still get the same achievement. Like, I don't know if that should necessarily be the same thing across the board. Because I get what you were saying, Will. Like, oh, like if you're using the easy mode thing or the accessibility stuff on Celeste, it's kind of messed up that they don't give you the same achievement, but you didn't do the same thing. And I don't want to say like that's a good thing or bad thing. It's just you didn't do the same thing. Like those are two different things.
Yeah,
one person did
of course.
this way, one person did that way. So I don't know, maybe give them a different achievement.
Yeah, but then that sounds like we're segregating achievements, and that just sounds stupid.
Perhaps, right. But
I get what you're saying.
At the end of the day, none of the achievements mean anything. Like you're not actually like it's a fake thing. But to be honest, like it is how we as players spend our time, and we do care about the time that we spend in these games. So like I don't want to diminish that by saying like, because I often do this. I'll say like, oh, it's just video games. Like who cares? Who gives a shit? Like we're just talking about video games. Of course. But like if we're being honest, like it's a thing that most of us here like love, and we choose to spend our precious time with. So like the time we spend on achieving something does matter to us personally. Of course, and it can't feel diminished if the thing like, because oftentimes you can be like, all right, well, why did I waste my time? If this other version of the thing could have been done much easier, like why did I bother doing it the hard way?
Well, it comes to perspective, right? So I think Casey, I think our views on like the Souls series kind of line up. I like the challenge. I also like exploring. I like lots of things about Souls. I like challenging games, but it's about perspective. Challenging for us is fighting the end game boss and defeating it while being, you know, not wearing any armor, right? That's challenge to us. And we're like, I like that. Challenge to someone else is navigating from point A to point B because they are blind. And that is their challenge. Getting to the second area and defeating the first intro boss is their challenge. And giving players of all different abilities the tools to make it accessible to them, to kind of make it so that their challenge is accessible to them, I think is the most important thing. I personally think from a design perspective, easy mode, hard mode, medium is a terrible design philosophy. We shouldn't have that because experiences should be designed by designers to curated, right? So Dark Souls is curated. The experience is finely tuned to be a certain experience. That doesn't mean that I think all games should have accessibility options. Whether they give achievements or whether they don't, or they give different ones. I have friends. I have a friend who has one hand, and she can't play certain games because simple things like the buttons can't be remapped. That is an accessibility issue. There's a very simple thing for developers to do, but they choose not to do it. There should be accessibility so everyone can access the challenge that they have personally. But that's my stance on it. From a design.
Real quick, I just want to jump in there because I think that's a really good point. But I do feel like there's a difference between like a player's personal challenges and like the challenges designed by the game experience. Like, because beating the end boss in Dark Souls or whatnot is something that was designed by that team.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but like you're saying, like if someone is blind and they just want to navigate, like that is something that they're bringing to the game. Just like if we decide to do no death, no hit run, like that's not something they designed. That's something you, the player, designed. So I don't know if those can be it feels unfair to try and ask developers to take into account all the different ways someone may challenge themselves with the game, because all of these players could either choose to play this game, and this is gonna sound shitty, I don't know, but like players can either choose to play the game or not, right? Like that is a choice that they can make as well. It can either be for you or I know people are going to be like, oh, that's
someone was getting
don't play the game
in this podcast.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Listen,
but like, what the crux of what I'm saying is, if you want to have a certain experience, at what point is it not that experience? If it's changed in a certain way that makes it the way you want to have it, the way you want to experience.
I have I think like so. To me, certain genres of games I don't play. I don't play sports games anymore. I'm not really a fan of racing games unless it's like a co-op racing game. I don't see myself sitting down and doing a whole season of racing, like racing the Indy 500, like competing against other people would add another form of play. So I see the same thing with like a Souls game. I feel like to me it's a different genre. I might not want to play I don't know what we can a Souls-like genre. I don't know if we want to call it that. Like some people don't like Metroidvania games. Like they're not going to change a Metroidvania game to appease to the other people. Like you're not going to dumb something down or change it up to fit what someone else wants. Accessibility, like JMH said, is something completely different. Colorblind.
Yeah, it's a completely different conversation. Like if this is the experience they want, allow them to play it based on like whatever their disabilities or needs are, right?
Well, the simplest one is God mode. So there was a documentary, I think it's called Gaming Through New Eyes. I talk about it in my Celeste video on my channel. And it's a gamer who is blind, and to play Doom, he has to put on a mod that allows for God mode. Well, God mode for me and you would probably not make the game that fun. Because we can't die and the challenge is gone. But for him, it allows him to experience the game and navigate the game without fear of death. And that is just from one checkbox putting God mode on. And these can be hidden things in the menus that warn you this is an accessible. It's like Celeste is the perfect example. They did it flawlessly. They warn you this accessibility is meant for people who need this to help. Celeste was designed a certain way to be challenging. This is for people who need this. It will ruin the experience, ruin the challenge, but if you need it, here it is. That's all you need to say. And it's the same for Souls. That could be in Souls, but the thing that stops it, well, we could get into the whole of cultural Eastern design philosophy and stuff like that. But the main thing that's stopping it is the culture of this get good philosophy of Dark Souls is hard and that's what it is, which is bullshit. Absolute shit.
Absolutely.
And yes, it is difficult to design and time-consuming and expensive to design accessibility options. But if that makes the game playable and gives that experience to someone who has a disability, that's worth it for me. Putting those accessibility options in, that's worth it.
My approach from what I've seen and the opportunity of seeing things behind closed doors is that like we were shooting for Rainbow Six Extraction and we were doing some capture that's already out, so I guess I could say it. And I'm there and I'm just like, all of these cheats that we use in game to spawn specific items, spawn a specific person, spawn at a specific situation. Like there's all these other things, and the way I look at it for a game as such, that can be solo or experience. Like there's things that are on and off about it. Like I understand it's just like that would ruin it. That would become a thing. But I also looked at it and I'm just like, if I'm just trying, not only me, but like I think of like, for example, I had a fan member who recently passed. Like he was epileptic. So whenever he dealt with certain sort of flashes or stuff like that, it became sort of a thing. And then also as he got a little bit older, we started to realize that like the functionality of his hand just wasn't exactly great. And it was his primary hand. So my thing of what I saw is I'm like, this honestly, for him, is a prime example of just enable the cheat. I don't care. It doesn't impact me, right? And the way I look at it is that the way you're going to experience any of sort of content or any medium, like you're going to enjoy it the way you like. You're going to experience it the way you like. If you want to see fucking Batman with the 4D screen, then that's awesome. If you want to see it with the expanded field of view, that's great.
Yeah,
if you want to fucking watch it in your home, right? Don't tell people. So the thing is that for me at the most part, and it's just because now I'm more like at the table in the like when we're playing or developing games and seeing things. So now because I'm at the table and I see that there's a need for accessibility, and I start to understand that like I'm bitching because like I want to put cheat codes for me. Yeah, I do. Because you know what? There's times where I come home and I'm fucking mad and I don't want to fucking go through the process and deal with a co-op shooter or deal with something competitively. I want to enjoy this the way I want to. And if that deems me any other way, that's fine. But honestly, the fact that there isn't enough option for accessible reasons or for those who just literally choose to enjoy the genre, that I don't know. It seems like it's just silly. And I know this stirs away from the whole buying groups thing. I'm just saying like I'm not saying I don't want people to enjoy the game. I'm just saying like I think this is something from the developer standpoint that should be implemented for those who struggle. That's all.
I have a question. Yeah. So you talked about movies, right? So different things that can add to the movie: 3D, 4D, widescreen, Dolby sound. Those are things that enhance the experience. So a lot of times we compare video games to movies, to where it's an interactive movie, right? So is asking for a easy mode the same as asking for 3D or 4D or surround sound, or is it equivalent to asking a director to change his vision of that movie, equivalent to asking From Software to change how they perceive their experience, how someone should experience their game?
Yeah, but
I'm just curious. What do you think?
The way
Everybody,
I look at it, the way you say it is like when we have an easy mode for a game is the equivalent of having, and it's gonna sound stupid, but having the movie as an option as a VOD day of. That's how I look at it. And the reason I say that is just because of the fact that at the end of the day, right? When I've been to those theaters where you go through the 4D and it's a lot, where you go through the 3D and it's annoying because the glass is on top of that. There's all these other concerns, but it's all preference, right? So my thing then becomes like, if I prefer to enjoy a Dark Souls game by not grinding, by not putting my own personal missions that I go through it. It's the same thing. I think they just happened with Pokemon. People were like, I'm going to do this Pokemon run, and the idea is that I have to capture my first 6 Pokemon, and that's the 6 I use throughout the whole time.
Nuzlocke, yeah.
The Nuzlocke, yeah.
Yeah, they have different approaches, and there's no shame in enjoying it. You like that challenge, knock it out. I just don't think culturally we should be looking at other people's perspective and think because I play the game as such, because I'm lacking in this department, or because like as we get older, like our timing is gonna fuck up when we play first person shooters or any sort of input thing. My logic is that as long as I'm not like full blown cheating and taking away someone else's experience in that regard, we're Gucci. Like it shouldn't be a question.
Well, my question is more so the creator's intent for how the game should be experienced.
But it's perspective at that point, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
How am I supposed to know how From Software wanted me to experience this when
based on how they put it out? So my question is it more so because to me people saying, "Oh, that's how the game should experience." I'm in the same department as Jam8 where you can't tell someone as another player how they should want to experience that game.
Exactly. Yeah.
But as the creator, how they're
because. Like I said, with removing easy modes, medium and hard, like games should be created from an artistic standpoint to be experienced in a certain way. And when we were talking about accessibility, I think the word accessibility is an important thing to get our head around, which is we want to make games accessible. I am a proponent of you should play a game how you want, but I'm also on the same fence with KC, this idea of that was the intended experience. It was meant to be challenging, and you could go play something else. But some people have situations in their lives, be it handicaps, anything, that make it so they, even though they want to attempt that challenge, they want to try and have the game be difficult, and they want to attempt it, they physically can't because of certain elements.
Absolutely.
So it's our job to make that accessible.
Right.
but also putting cheats in, like Will said, that is the same thing as the accessibility stuff. It depends on what side of the fence.
Yeah, like this continuously gets confused with one another. Is like the accessibility conversation is like, look, make it so that someone who wants to have an experience can, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to. Versus the difficulty thing that says like, if the experience is by design meant to be difficult, does changing that experience then change what the intended experience is? Because what I'm trying to say again,
it does. Adding
it does, right?
Issues.
I want to give an example, and this might be spoilers for an old indie game, so I'm sorry if you've not played it yet. But Joseph Fares's game, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Shit, I gotta go. That's
Tale
crazy.
of Two Sons.
I can't talk about that.
Really? All you guys are just gonna... No, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, right? You guys remember this game? You control two characters with one controller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
The intention is so that you get familiar with one brother. You associate one brother with one side of your controller, and at some point in that game, one of those brothers you're no longer able to control. And so you're controlling the game with one hand, right? But some of the lingering stuff from that other character gets applied to the other character, and you experience that because you still have your hand on both controllers. Well, you have both your hands on the controller, right? If two people decided like they didn't like to play the game where you control two characters with one person, and rather we want to play like a conventional co-op game, and they just held opposite hands on one controller, I don't think you get the ending message that was intended by the dev by the end of that game. Like you would spoil kind of what you were supposed to feel from that game, even though they're playing it the way they want to, which is in their right because they own the game.
Right.
But like that's kind of a more direct example of the intended experience that the dev created is now going to be lost because of the way because of the way it's being played.
There's one part to the puzzle.
Yeah, so like I'm not saying that you shouldn't play it that way because that's how you want to play it. But I am saying something can be lost from going the route of changing what was ever originally designed to fit a specific style.
And that's why I'm the proponent of we should have accessibility options in every game, because you can have the best of both worlds. You can have developer intention and difficulty. Say we're talking about Elden Ring, so the game is as difficult as the team designed it to be. Then there are accessibility options that make the game accessible to people.
Right.
And then it's not, oh, I beat Elden Ring and did you use the accessibility options or whatever? It's that kind of mentality of this whole get good thing is just
it's people gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping. It's
that
you both had
I'm
that
not
experience.
Down for it all.
Yeah,
I love exploring in FromSoft games, and this is why Elden Ring's so great for me. I love exploring and I love seeing the world and digesting it and stuff like that. I am fortunate enough to be able to access the game in its original state. I can do that, and I'm very happy and privileged that I can. Some people can't. They can't hear everyone in the world talking about Elden Ring and how amazing it is, and then due to their disability, they just have to sit there and watch.
Right.
That fucking sucks. But if there was a couple options added, that entire world would be accessible to that person, and it may become their favorite game of all time, and it may be something really entertaining to them. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of people with disabilities, sometimes gaming is their only escape. And 99% of games they cannot access because developers aren't putting in these options. And that is grim. That is fucking grim. And I think it's developers' duty to fix that.
And isn't accessibility one of the categories in the video game awards?
Yeah, it is.
Now,
and it's great that they're trying to incentivize that.
But it needs to be improved.
Should more be done?
100%.
Completely will. Completely.
I see little parts of it in video games like Destiny where it helps with if you're colorblind. It lets you select those colors that you can interpret on your own. So, but like JM8 said, like somebody who might only be able to play with one hand, what recourse do we have for them? Like even as far as like Microsoft and Sony, like the way the controllers are laid out like more so Xboxes, I guess, where there should be maybe a reverse controller for people who might not have as much maneuverability in their left or right hand, so
Yeah,
that way the D-pad's on the right or instead of the left,
and
like stuff like that.
there are things
Well,
that
they did
exist on
build.
this.
Yeah, Microsoft specifically built like an accessibility controller, like
Yeah, and there are
it's like fully
charities. There are
customizable and stuff.
charities
Yeah,
that make them custom for people. Like for
Oh,
my 24-hour
that's
stream,
true.
I raised money for those charities. Like, but more needs to be done. Like Will said, enough isn't being done, and
Right.
Yep. That's
we
like
have to
trying
get
to.
shit about it.
That's like I'm thinking about it now. It's just like thinking about all the old kung fu movies or all this other shit where it's just like you can enjoy it, right? But like I really appreciate the fucking subtitles because there's a big chunk I am missing without so. If someone in a movie theater is like, you need subtitles to watch this, I'm like, fuck off. I like the subtitles. It helps me. There's sometimes sounds. Literally, whenever I do any review for The Escapist, I literally apply subtitles because I know in my edit, I don't want to influence the sound and whatnot, like unless I'm doing a sound design reference. But for the most part, if people are not really into or are struggling, but the text to grasp what I'm trying to give them in such a short time frame, if the subtitles help add to that context and give enough curiosity where somebody's potentially interested to check it out or add it to a wish list, whatever, for sure, that's 100% the route I'm going. And even when I played like Far Cry 6, when you play Far Cry 6, there's an option to literally like highlight and change and tweak everything you want in terms of visually. So that way, if an opponent comes or if there is a specific scrap or something you're looking for in terms of material, it'll be highlighted within a specific color. It's things like that that like is 100% like no one probably thought about utilizing as a regular person. Like if I'm playing, why would I check through the accessibility menu outside of menu narration, which I give shit about because I hate when we start it, but like I understand why it's utilized. I understand why it's automatically applied when you start certain games. It's just
Right.
Quick,
it's crazy. I don't know.
quick call out to the chat. DM Highlander says, with 1,000 bits, says, as a disabled gamer, still trying with Elden Ring. Thank you for discussing this. I never thought about it until I had a severe nerve damage. Good on you guys for bringing it up.
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, most
Yeah,
definitely.
it needs to be talked about, and game developers need to do more. Media needs to do more. More money needs to be given to charities because it's super important. And yeah, some people are going to have the mindset of, well, it's just a game, like, but to a lot of people, it's not just a game.
Right.
It's a huge part of their life.
Yeah,
And
it's a
gaming is
big
part of our
passion.
life.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think technology in general should be made to help make life normal for someone who has a disability. They shouldn't have less of a life because they can't do something to the same degree they used to or that someone else can. We should make things more accessible, no matter what everyday things like but video games, computers, movies, just making a cup of coffee. Like things should technology the things we can if we can fly to space or send something to Mars, we should be able to make things accessible to people who live on Earth to be able to have a normal life and not have to omit things that they would normally do otherwise.
Yeah.
Unless it's Casey, then Casey, we crank it up hard. We don't care. That's just everything thrown at you. We don't.
Yeah, just discriminate against me, I guess.
Well,
He can't make rice, so maybe some
he
help
can't
there.
make rice. Oh my
He can't make
god.
rice.
Stop
else?
slandering me.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. What else should we know?
Oh, well, you got how much time you got?
Yeah, we've been going for a while now, so we can probably wrap things up. Also, the chat seemed to have broke on the stream. Like I can still see the chat on Twitch, but it's not showing up anymore on the side for whatever reason.
Yes, I see it.
But we've reached the end of the show anyhow. So, Jimmy, why don't you let folks know what you have coming up this week that they can check out? Plug away.
Shit. I've just had 2 things release. I had a design episode with Marty with the developers of Before Your Eyes, which is really fun to get to talk to them about the design of their game. I had The Anatomy of Inscription with Daniel Mullins that just released, which was really fun. Check that out. And on Thursday, I hope, unless something goes horrifically wrong, because my internet's being really terrible at the moment, I will have The Anatomy of Elden Ring Part 1. So
Ooh,
Yeah.
look forward to that.
I can't wait to
Wait
watch
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's me.
Sweet. How about you, Jeff? What do you have coming up?
What's today? Sunday?
Today is
The
Sunday,
day of the
yes.
Lord.
Today is Sunday. Oh, the day that the Lord has made. Nakamushi. So this afternoon I'll be on Super Smash Sunday with Superman Jeff here.
Just Jeff.
Tomorrow. I've been doing Magic the Gathering, Monday Night Magic. But with Destiny, the Witch Queen coming out, I think I definitely want to do some Destiny. So I'm gonna toss up between more Monday Night Magic tomorrow. So if you guys want to come out and play some Magic the Gathering, definitely come and do that. They had the new set, Kawagama drop, with the Neon Dynasty, a lot of cyberpunk samurais and onis and spirit dragons and stuff. Or we might do Destiny. I'm not sure yet. And then Thursday we'll be back with Guardian Thursday. So come out and play some Destiny with me. Last week we streamed Elden Ring by accident, just because I was playing it and got so involved that I just didn't switch over to Destiny. But come out and play. If you haven't already, check out my page, my Twitch. Follow me there. Check out our Discord. And come through there. We play things throughout the week. We even have an Elden Ring channel where we're talking about all the juicy and goody things and some of the encounters we're coming across. So you'll definitely love that if you're enjoying Elden Ring. Or if you need some help, you can definitely come out there and ask for some tips. So we got a little bit of everything going on there.
Nice. The Will See Blogs. Where can folks find you? What you been up to?
You ain't finding me doing nothing. You can type in Will See Blogs on the interwebs and find me bitch about things on Twitter. Maybe like some stuff on Instagram. I don't know what to tell you guys. There's so much stuff that I've just been so behind on. And I would just say when things lighten up, hopefully within mid-year, I'd be doing more things. I've been buying equipment to stream. I have the microphones and shit. I have everything else. I just need ambition, and I have absolutely none. Because
Wow.
Yep, that's just listen. If you want to come behind Eve's hidden door, you'll start seeing. You'll get tired 2 seconds. You're like, damn, you work from home and you tired. I'm like, yes. I need a drink.
Is that an invitation?
Doesn't stop.
Look up ubisoft.com/careers. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
All right, then.
But yeah, follow me there.
You guys can, follow Will, follow Jeff, follow J-Mate. You guys can find me at SigmaGears9 on Twitch and Twitter. Later today, like Jeff mentioned, Super Smash Sunday is going on at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Open Party channel. So head over there in the afternoon, about 2 hours from now, and we'll be playing some hardcore Smash. And outside of that, regular streams on Escapist as usual, on Editor's Hour Monday with Nick, Hidden Gems with Jesse on Tuesday, Breakout on Wednesday, Dead Space 3 now with me and Marty on Thursday, and then I finally get to rest on Friday where I don't do any streams. But that's going to do it for the Sigma Show today. Kind of a heavier episode than usual, but that's just the news this week, and I like to try and keep us... I want to keep the important topics at the forefront of our minds as gamers and as good citizens of the world in general. So I do hope you guys appreciate that kind of stuff, because I know I appreciate you guys coming through and listening on a regular basis as well. Thanks to all my guests. Thanks to everybody in the chat. We'll see you next week. Peace.
See you guys.